So this story is out of America, guys. Really, really interesting and concerning at the same time. So let's take a quick look at this video and then we'll discuss it.
Paul and his wife Tenisha Austin felt like they captured a slice of the American dream in 2016 when they purchased their first home together, this original Marin City pole home. But it wasn't without challenges.
As soon as like a house came on the market, you go in, you put your bid in, and then you get outbid it by like 100,000 or more rather quickly. And that can be, a little bit depressing.
They bought the home off market from another black family, hoping to make homeownership a reality for a young black couple. After moving into the home built in the 1960s, the Austins staged major renovations, adding an entire floor and more than 1,000 square feet of space, along with a deck, new floors, a fireplace, and new appliances. Then they got it appraised.
I read the appraisal. I looked at the number. I was like, this is unbelievable.
The family tells me the appraiser was an older white woman, and they're convinced race was a factor. The home appraised for $989,000, just $100,000 more than the Austins got it appraised for before they started the work, despite $400,000 in renovations.
It was like, it was a slap in the face.
The Austins immediately called their lender and pushed back. After a month of escalating their complaints, they were approved for a second appraisal. When the date came, they got creative.
We had a conversation with one of our white friends, and she is like, no problem, I'll be Tenisha. I'll bring over some pictures of my family. She made our home look like it belonged to her.
And it worked.
So it appraised for 1.482.
Yeah.
Which was 50% more than what it appraised for by a couple weeks prior.
Almost 1.5, $500,000 more.
The Austins were outraged and believe this is another ugly result of larger systemic issues.
There were implications of the ability to create generational wealth or pass things on if our house is appraised for 50% less than what is valued at.
Wow, crazy, right? So it was initially valued at around $900,000, and then with the black couple, and then they had their white friend pose as the owner, and then it goes up by $500,000, just like that. Magic, hey? So first things first, right? The first thing that I learned from this video, and tell me what your thoughts are as well in the comment section below. Systematic racism. For anyone that's confused about what it looks like, okay, and how it is linked to wealth and economic outcomes in society, this is a great example to show people, because first of all, you have people who deny that systematic racism exists, and then secondly, people act confused on some of the reasons, not all of the reasons, but some of the reasons, contributing factors for why certain people of certain races and communities in nations have worse economic outcomes. People will say, oh, they're lazy, or they don't work as hard, or they just don't want it enough. But here we go. You can't deny this, right? Plain example. So first things first, systematic racism is alive and well in the 21st century. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's, if anything, more subtle, right? So you have a couple, they're trying to sell their house, or they just want to know what it's worth. And, somebody really, what's really happened is that a valuer has cut $500,000 off of their wealth, just because of the color of their skin. There's no other reason for that, right? It's so arbitrary and so wrong, okay? So systematic racism is alive. That's what it looks like in industry. So that's just one example of systematic racism within, property. But imagine what it's like in, investing, in entrepreneurship, in the job market, etc., etc. So it's live and well, okay? And then secondly, this is an example of how it's directly affecting people's wealth, right? So maybe if you'd have gone back 60, 70, 80 years ago, this couple probably wouldn't have even been able to get a mortgage on a home in America. And also it was very similar in the UK when my grandparents got here, right? Banks wouldn't even lend to people just because of their color of the skin. So that's an initial barrier into building wealth, because if you buy a house 70 years ago, imagine what it's worth today. Property market in the UK and in the USA has gone up considerably over the last 70 years. So imagine if you were trying to get property as a person of color decades ago and you were denied it and you just rented. That is hundreds of thousands, even millions of pounds or dollars of wealth that you've been excluded from. So this couple were able to get a mortgage. We thank God. However, when it comes to, they've worked, they've saved up, they've gotten their mortgage, they've done renovations to the house. And when it comes to reaping those benefits, for the work that they've put in, somebody's come along and tried to say, nah, not for you because of the color of your skin. So that's how systematic racism and wealth, or one example of how systematic racism and wealth are linked. So let's talk about some solutions. So how do communities counter this? So the big one that really stuck out to me is within communities of color, need to build more businesses. So I get the feeling, and tell me if you disagree in the comment section below, but if this was perhaps a black-owned valuer or letting agency that had gone and valued that property, they probably wouldn't have marked the property down by $500,000 just based on the color of their skin, guys. So, that's not me saying that businesses within other communities are all like that. Of course they're not. Most businesses are fair. However, if that valuer has done that to this couple, imagine how many other couples of color, whether they're black, Indian, Chinese, Latino, etc. Imagine how many other people that valuer has done that to for racist reasons. Imagine how many other people the other people in that valuer's company has done that to for racist reasons. Imagine how many other companies within that region have done that to other families or communities within that region. So, you can see it goes from one small example and it can potentially be quite a systemic issue very quickly. So people of color need to own more businesses and do business with people from your own community to keep wealth within your community and to grow as a community. That's a big thing for me, and that's one of the primary solutions that really came to my mind when I saw this, because that couple have done everything right. They've saved their money, they've invested their money, they've done things to increase the value of their asset. So the easy part should be valuing it and reaping what it's worth. However, even at the end, when they've done everything right, there's somebody still trying to deny them that opportunity. So having representation and ownership at the end-to-end process, whether it's agents who are selling the property all the way through to valuers who are valuing it and selling it, I think that's a great way. So what I'm trying to say really, guys, is to start businesses within your own community and do business with people from within your community to make sure that we get fair outcomes, because that is a clear example of what's not fair. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. See you on Monday.